As much as I'd like to make a full review on this case, it almost isn't necessary because there's so much documentation on the basic features of what it can do. Rather, I'd like to look at some of the smaller quirks and things that aren't documented, because just building in this thing, I found a ton that aren't. First of all, let's talk configuration as far as the lower pedestal. So, for me, I have it configured so that when you open this door on the pedestal, you've obviously got all of your hard drives in there. And one thing you may notice is, hey, that's a DVD drive right there. So I figured that this would be very useful for a workstation on the right side because it doesn't interfere with the drive bays in the front and is just a hidden CD drive. The other thing you may also notice is that my model has 5 drive cages that hold 2 drives. One of the things they do not document in Thermaltake's actual documentation on this case is that only the older 2016 models, as far as I know, actually came with 5 cages. If you look at a lot of Amazon reviews, a lot of people complain that this case does not come with enough storage for drives. And in this case, I have 5, newer ones have 3, you lose 4 spaces for storage. That is even more if you don't use the hard drive space that is given to you in the right side chamber. So obviously, as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 drive spaces there, and that works out. This is another one I think needs to be commented on. If you notice down here, I have one of the alignment screws, I'd say they're called alignment screws, that's what I think of them as, down here, but I do not have one up here. The one thing you need to know about this case is nothing is going to be exact. And so in this case, when I close this with the alignment screw on the bottom and not one at the top, it makes the panel lay straight. I have this same problem with both sides, but I've heard of some people having to use both, or even having to unscrew one a bit to make it sit flat. Next thing to note is that if you do have a pedestal, the pedestal will come with these grommets that you can put your cables through. Let me actually take off the fan mount so you can see it a bit better. So as you can see, you have these grommets to run cables through, but you'll notice that I have a fan mount here instead of a grommet. That is because regardless of what version you get of these cases, you will only get 6 fan grommets. Now, I did make a model that lets you 3D print an extra one of these in a 120mm size that I will also be linking in my description. But the main reason they do this is because they're assuming that you're going to mount the power supply here, and this is your draft or your intake for your power supply. The main reason I've chosen to bring this up is because when you get the pedestal, you obviously get another 2 spots for storing power supplies here and here. I just have the grommeted covers on at the moment, but I will be installing my power supplies in the lower section, or at least one of them. That is because when you install your drive cages in the bottom, you actually lose the space to install a power supply. So there's space here, but a power supply will not fit there because it will collide with the drive cage on the other side. Being in the case that you'll likely get a 3 drive cage model, if you install them over to the left and not in the very right spot, you will still be able to install your 2 lower power supplies. I also bring this up because, of course, if you do not install the top power supplies, you kind of just have these vents here that really, they're just there. So you can 3D print a part to cover that, or you can just kind of bite the bullet and have it there. Maybe you can install a fan there that drafts up air or something, but that's just something to note. The other thing that you will notice about my build is, of course, now that my drive space is being taken up on the other side, that I'm using the drive bays there, that means that I will only have one side with this fan bracket, which means I'll just have one left over. Some people might want to install that up in the top case in the gaming side or the left side, as for most people. But I'm going to show you why that doesn't work. So when you go to install this, let's just say you put on the actual thingamabobber on here. You get your fan mount on there, you clip it in, and then you go to close the case. It will actually collide with a little spot over here on this whole bracket itself. I know it just collided with the fan, but that's because I have it reverse mounted, which I'll be showing in a second. So technically you are not able to mount one of these fan brackets here. However, just in my plot of being curious about this case, I figured out a funny technique if you really, really want to do this. So if you flip this thing around and shimmy it in here, and then line it up, it does take a little bit of effort because obviously you're trying to line up this dang thing in a way it's not supposed to be. There you go. And then you can click these in, and it will be lined up. Oh, why am I not focusing there? There we go. Okay, so anyways, it'll be lined up, and then you can close it, and it'll shut. So I don't know what you would use that for. Obviously, you're facing a glass wall. Maybe you could just have it for colorful fans or like a draft. I really don't know, but just in the circumstance where you'd want to do this, it's optional. Next up, your 5 1/4 inch drive accessories are mounted using these brackets here. And you're going to need these if you want to mount said accessories. The problem is you only get 6 of these, which means you can only mount 3 accessories out of all of the 12 bays that you get here. 10 not including the ones that have your power and reset buttons and all that. In the description, I'll be linking my 3D model of one, which we have used up here on top. This is an exact replica of the metal version and will fit your accessories accordingly. For example, if you look here, the CD drive is completely flush with the front panel, which there is a version on Thingiverse that was there before I made mine, but it lined up so badly that I just decided I'm going to make my own. So yes, these brackets are super easy to print. They come as one a piece, but you can combine them and print as many as you want on a print bed. Really small, really easy, and they just screw in with 2 screws on here, and you're set to mount your 5 1/4 inch accessories. Now, the last major thing you should know is that these drive covers here are fragile. So I was vacuuming my room a little bit ago, and I had accidentally hit this front cover with the vacuum, and it basically completely imploded inwards. It looked like it had been hit by a freaking missile, and it was imploded inwards. But that brings me to my other point, which is that this whole case is metal, which means, as you can see here, I did a really good bending job, and now it looks like it never even got hit. But for somebody who is going to panic when this happens, like I did, just stay calm, know that you can fix it, but it's going to take some time and a flat surface. And so you need to be careful around this case. You need to treat it with respect. And while it is a cool rolly case, don't hit it with stuff, please. It'll end up damaging it. It will. For some final closing tidbits, if you want to know, the case panels are held on by quick releases that are little plastic brackets that insert into the little metal, like, circular shape guys. You do get some of these extra, and they can be replaced. As well as the radiator mounting brackets, or fan brackets in this case, come with extra locking mechanisms. And for $800 total, which is about what you'll be spending if you buy this case off Amazon, including your $50 in shipping, that is how much you will spend to buy this case in 2021. So in my personal thoughts, is this case worth it? If you are needing to build 2 systems and you have a really cool idea, maybe your family gaming computers at a desk for like younger siblings, or a workstation and gaming PC, maybe a his and her computer, this would be perfect. It is a great case, it is robust. As I mentioned, there are some pieces that are fragile, it should be treated with respect, but overall, this will do the job. It has great I/O for both sides, everything is easily accessible, but one note to keep in mind is it is a big case. So you will need to buy extensions for certain cables, most certainly SATA and your power cables from the power supply. But other than that, it is a very nice case, and I would recommend buying it even in 2021. It is one of the last cases on the market, other than Mountain Mods, that makes a dual ATX capable system. And in this respect, it does it beautifully. A Mountain Mods case, you will be in about another couple $100, and so when making the decision, I just decided to get this. And for $800 with a pedestal and the top, you will be doing yourself a service. So, what is availability on these looking like? Well, Thermaltake has officially stopped supporting this case, and so at this point they're just selling stock out of the warehouses. So in that way, I would recommend just going and buying one if you have the money. I bought mine before I even bought the system to go inside it. That's how much I was concerned with these going out of stock. And so, yes, I would recommend getting one before you get your system, or at the same time, just because you're gonna kick yourself in the freaking butt later when you have your system together and these are out of stock. Hey there everyone, Bob here. This is a quick note on this video. Sorry for the little lack of quality here. This video has been on the back burner for a little over a couple months. However, I did want to get this information out to the people who do still want to buy the Thermaltake WP200. As of this point, I have actually done my full build in the case, and I will be showing it off soon. But just now I wanted to get this video up because I just found it again, honestly, and it's a project that I don't want to leave abandoned. This is information that somebody could seriously use if they too want to build in this case. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and have fun if you get one of these.